am having, Mac.
I have made videos talking about the many different parts of Sonic's design. I have discussed the mouth, the shoes, the eyelids, and today I think it's finally time to tackle the most controversial, most interesting, and arguably the most captivating feature of the titular character, the quills. There is so much to discuss about the quills of Sonic the Hedgehog, and the reason I think I waited so long to do this is because I honestly did not think I could do it justice in coverage. I have since gotten over that fear and believe it's finally time to put on my big boy pants and really get down to business. Before we get started though, I would just like to say if you enjoy content like this and would like to see more of it in the future, let me know in the comment section down below. And also while you're at it, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe on the video as I would really appreciate it. Anyway, without further ado, let's get down with the basics. Let's start with what we know about Sonic's quills, the common knowledge if you will. Well, based on in-game models and renders, we know that Sonic is supposed to have a total of 6 quills. There have been iterations that have deviated from this model, whether it be an artistic choice like in Sonic X, or simply for a more rougher, untamed feel like in Sonic Boom. These two are interesting cases because where Sonic X slices the quill count in half, Sonic Boom actually adds 3 more, ultimately making the quill count to a grand total of 9. This is truly some fascinating stuff. Anyway, there have been versions of Sonic that have stayed true to the 6 quill total, like in the Sonic the Hedgehog movies and the latest TV series, Sonic Prime. However, what separates them from the game design is that they both provide texture in giving a bit more of a realistic feel to the character. That said, there is also another difference I neglected to speak on until this moment. Game Sonic actually has a grand total of 9 spikes with 6 on the head and 3 on his back. Sonic X, Sonic Boom, and Sonic Prime follow suit in this model, but the Sonic movies actually give him an extra quill in between the two on his upper back. I always found this interesting because this is something that has never been done before with Sonic. I'm not sure why it was done, but it was so clearly featured on this character design that, for me, it wasn't hard to miss. I mean, it even appears on the Sonic movie Jax figures as well. I included my own video here so you can see what I mean. This is the 2.5-inch movie Sonic figure, by the way. The reason I note something like this is because what makes this really interesting is that this extra quill is not included on the Sonic Forces Speed Battle model of the character, yet I believe it appears on the AR model for the character. I'm not sure if this was a mistake or something done by choice. I would assume it was an accident, as there really isn't a reason why it wouldn't be there, but I'm not going to jump to conclusions. Anyway, it's time to move on to the more heavy-hitting topics regarding the quills. Sonic's quills, aside from just looking cool, actually serve a more practical use for him. The quills enable him to do moves like the spin dash and homing attack to defeat enemies. We often see Sonic go into a ball, which is cool, but if you really think about it, how is it possible that it's so round? I have this really cool Sonic piggy bank and it shows Sonic going into a spin dash, and you can even see here that the spines detail the piggy bank and it isn't smooth as the games make it out to be. This isn't really a complaint and more of an observation though, but while we're on that note, I remember a scene in the first Sonic movie where Sonic's quills cover his entire face and you can only see his eyes. There are some really amazing set pieces of Sonic in spin dash form that really help this movie come alive. That said, there are other unique attacks that Sonic has that I personally believe deserve more attention in regards to his quills. While I have stated many times in previous videos that I'm not someone who's a fan of Sonic's Smash moveset, I think one of the most unique and even coolest moves he has gotta be his up throw. It's a strange choice, I know, but hear me out. As you can see here, Sonic is shown using his quills not in ball form to attack his opponent. More importantly, however, if you look carefully, you can see that Sonic has the capability to extend his quills, straightening them out ever so slightly to really strike his competitor. This really reminds me that Sonic's entire body is truly a lethal weapon. It's like he has retractable knives on the back of his head. Speaking of which, there are official Sonic designs where his spines actually don't come to a curve like we often see. Some designs have Sonic's design have the spikes all the way out looking as sharp as ever. I would think that this is likely due to technical restrictions, but either way, it's still pretty cool to look at. The last element I thought would be important to talk about for this subsection is once again in regards to the Sonic movie. Now in the first and second movie there's a very interesting case of what happens to Sonic's quills that deserves to be discussed. In these movies, Dr. Eggman is able to obtain one of Sonic's many quills and use it to power a multitude of different machines, and for whatever reason, he licks it and gets stung, and this happens more than once. There have been many interesting theories of where Sonic draws his power from. Some media have suggested it comes from his shoes, others offer the idea that he was born with such abilities, and then you have media like the Sonic Bible that propose it was a scientific experiment gone wrong. The movies offer a similar narrative to the second proposed idea, in which Sonic was born with his powers. That in mind, it's a fair conclusion to come to that every part of Sonic's body would contain this power. However, what's truly fascinating is that even when disconnected from its source Sonic, the Quills still retain their power, almost as if the Quills are the things that power Sonic and not the other way around. Although Sonic is capable of activating that power at will, but it appears Eggman is able to do so as well with the right equipment. I don't want to deep dive into this rabbit hole here, but hopefully this helps you understand the intricacies of the Quills and also recognize that we aren't even done yet. Emergency with 7. This is likely the most anticipated section of the whole video. This is probably what you clicked the video on for. Let's talk about the length of Sonic's quills. This is an interesting subject because in the beginning, one could assume that his quills grew over time as he got older. After all, it is confirmed that classic Sonic is a younger version of modern Sonic. However, we can see that Sonic's quill length often changes rather frequently. In games like Sonic the Hedgehog 2006, the quills will be noticeably longer. However, a little under 10 years later in Sonic Forces, the quills are very short. Some people have problems with this, which is totally understandable. As small of a detail as it is, it actually does matter. When creating a character, consistency is important. It's important to demonstrate an unfailing overall understanding of something as straightforward as a character's design. However, instead, we have games past the classic era that have given Sonic longer quills and shorter quills with seemingly no legitimate reason why. I personally believe that Sonic Unleashed nailed it with the proper length for Sonic's quills. That's likely not an unpopular opinion though, but I think it's long enough to demonstrate that Sonic's head can be classified as a lethal weapon. As silly as that might sound, I personally believe that Sonic can look a bit more intimidating and even more imposing if the quills are longer. When the quills are longer, they look like they can cut you if you got too close. To some people, this is the most important part of Sonic's design. I mean, after all, as I mentioned earlier, a plethora of his attacks are performed because of the usage of the quills, so they should be prominent, always in your face, and serve as a constant reminder that at any time, Sonic is more than capable of doing damage. Again, it might sound silly, but I don't believe short quills have that same effect on a taller Sonic. For classic Sonic, I think it works, but I think it's just because he's a smaller version of the character. It's proportionally accurate. That's really all I wanted to say about this because I didn't want this video to be leaning too much into opinion-based territory. I wanted it to be a more general analysis on the quills, not what I personally think about them. But I think if you're going to make a video talking about Sonic's quills, this is definitely an area in which you have to discuss. There's no going around it.
Let's get scratching.
Initially, I planned on ending the video right after the previous section, but I wanted to talk briefly about drawing the character facing forward. Now, I'm not a stellar artist or anything, but I find drawing Sonic to be a pretty fun activity. However, drawing him facing forward is often very hard for me. I find myself wondering, what do I do with the quills? Do I do what the Sonic CD and Mania opening did and have them lean off towards a certain direction, or do I draw them more accurately to the design in question? I guess what I'm trying to ask here is, what would you do? If you find yourself drawing the titular character facing forward, how do you do it? Let me know in the comment section down below. But anyway, with all that said and done, thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button and turn on the post notifications bell so you never miss a video from me. You do not want to miss what I have to say. Anyway, this is Sonic signing out. Have a super blessed day, y'all.
Why are you playing that trash?